Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the second week of your Diploma in English for Business, guys. And remember, I told you how quickly this 4 weeks would go. We're already in the second week and on lesson 3. Can you believe it, guys? But anyway, welcome back, and I hope you are all ready for another fantastic lesson where tonight we are going to look at our second part of communication skills, and we are going to focus on the art of negotiating, okay? So guys, as usual, before we get started, why don't we do a little sound check? And if you can all hear me loud and clear, then why don't you say a big hello to the support team out there? So they are the guys trying to answer all of your questions. So Thomas, Neiman, Jack and Jen, and just say big hellos to them if you can hear me loud and clear, guys. And I can see a lot of big hellos coming in from everyone. So that's brilliant that you can all seemingly hear me loud and clear. Perfect. Okay guys, that's what I like to see. So guys, I'm just going to warn you now that my voice is a little bit gone tonight because it is coming into winter now in Ireland and it gets quite cold. So my voice is a little bit gone. Don't worry, I'm not gonna die or anything. I will live, but I'm gonna try and keep tonight's lesson a little bit shorter than the last two lessons. So we'll try and finish this lesson within the hour, okay? Okay, brilliant guys, brilliant. So, tonight we are going to look at the art of I'm saying God bless my speedy recovery. Don't worry guys, like I said, it's nothing too bad, just my voice is a little bit gone. But don't worry about me, like I said, I will live. So we're going to look at the art of negotiating tonight, part 2 of our communication skills. But let's have a quick recap of lesson 2, our first lesson on communication skills. And we looked at all of the communication related contexts in the workplace. You all gained confidence and improved your telephone manner. We learned how to prepare for meetings. Then in the grammar, we looked at future tenses and quantifiers. We also looked at conference call techniques to round off our communication related contexts. And we touched on the first conditional, guys. And we're going to look at the rest of those conditionals in today's lesson. And all of this was supported with lots of business terminology and my fantastic pronunciation, okay? And guys, great work to everyone who got interactive on the Twitter video and the YouTube video, okay? So well done to everyone who got that question right. It was, of course, the third sentence, which was not the first conditional. So there's too many people to name, but well done to everyone who got interactive on the YouTube channel or on Twitter. And we will, of course, have another question at the end of this week. Also, guys, I want to thank you all for your continued feedback. It's great to get this feedback because it helps me improve the course. And just like the other lessons, at the end of this lesson, you will be asked to rate it from 1, which is the lowest, to 5, which is the highest. Okay? And as usual, do try to rate this for us because this lets me know if I am doing a good job or not, okay? And it also lets my bosses know. So what about today's lesson? What are we going to look at? Well, the main focus of tonight's lesson is going to be the art of negotiation, okay? You will gain confidence and improve your ability to negotiate. You will learn how to prepare for meetings involving negotiation. And then in the grammar, like I said, we are going to look at the rest of the conditional tenses. We looked at the first conditional last week, and we're going to look at the rest of them tonight. So there is a lot of those. And we're also going to look at an international case study related to negotiation, and plenty more business terminology and pronunciation from me, but maybe a little bit less than usual because, of course, my voice is slightly gone. And then we will finish with the summary, the next steps, and the bonus question and answers at the end, so I can answer any of the questions that I don't get to throughout the lesson. So without further ado, guys, let's get started with tonight's lesson, lesson 3. And of course, the first thing we are going to look at is negotiation. So we always have questions about the pronunciation of negotiation. So you will hear it pronounced differently in different places. I pronounce it negotiation, where this T here would almost be pronounced like an S or a C, negotiation. But you may also hear people pronounce it as negotiation, like an SH sound here. So neither are wrong, just different people have different pronunciations for the word. So whichever you find the easiest to pronounce, that's up to you. I find it a lot clearer, especially when I'm teaching, to pronounce it like negotiation, okay? So, enough about the pronunciation. What is negotiation? So first of all, guys, is negotiation a verb, a noun, or an adjective? So what do you think, guys? Get it into your question boxes now. Do you think it's a verb, a noun, or an adjective? Oh wow, great work everyone. Mahmoud, Reem, Iman, Harris, Valentin, Mark. Brilliant. It is, of course, a noun. Negotiation is a noun. Now we do have lots of different nouns and adjectives and the verb that come from it. So, look at the different contexts. We have the process of negotiation. That's, of course, a noun. We have the plural, negotiations. We have the verb, to negotiate. And then we have the gerund, negotiating. Okay? Negotiating. And I forgot to put my little comma there, so apologies for that. So there is different forms of this word, all coming from the stem, negotiate. So, what is negotiation? And I saw someone already wrote in a very good definition there. Negotiation is the bargaining process between two or more individuals aiming to reach an agreement, resolve a conflict, or agree on an issue of mutual interest. Okay? So a bargaining process, like a meeting, backwards and forwards between two or more parties giving different offers, aiming to reach an agreement, resolve a conflict, or agree on an issue of mutual interest. So they're the 3 different reasons we would negotiate. Now, already some new terminology there, so let's have a quick look at it. We have got a negotiation, in short, is a discussion to get a result. Okay? The bargaining process is the negotiating process. Individuals are people. To aim to is the desire to get or achieve something. To reach an agreement is to finish the negotiations. An issue of mutual interest means something that all parties are interested in. Okay, so parties are the people or groups of people involved, and an issue of mutual interest is something that everyone is interested in. So that is the point of negotiations, to reach an agreement that everyone is interested in, that benefits everyone. To resolve a conflict is to fix a problem or an issue or a disagreement. A party is another person or people, like we said. So there can be 2 or more parties involved in a negotiation, okay? So we looked at what negotiation is. Now let's look, how can you negotiate? And we're going to give some top tips, okay? So a very simple example of negotiation, if you want to think about it, is if you are trying, let's say, for example, 2 weeks ago I was buying a new television. Now, I say a new television, I was actually buying a used television, so a second-hand television, and I was negotiating with the store clerk about the price. So that is one of the simplest forms of negotiation if you want to keep that in your head when we look at all these tips. So think of that you are trying to buy something and you are trying to get a lower price for it. So you're trying to purchase goods while the other person is trying to get as much money as possible, and you have to negotiate. So some top tips: be confident, patient, empathetic, and trustworthy. Now these are all words that we've seen before. So patient means don't rush into anything. Empathetic, we know, is to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And trustworthy. So if you are offering something, you have to be trustworthy or they won't accept your offer. Articulate what you want. Okay? So whatever you want, whatever you desire, whatever your goals for the negotiation are, make sure you communicate them in a clear and confident manner. Listen to the other party. Just like we looked at all of the communication last week, this is no different. We have to listen to the other party. Do your research and be prepared. So, for example, let's go back to me buying a new television, a used television. Do your research and be prepared. So I knew what the standard price for this television was. I knew what the price for it brand new was, so I had a fair idea of what was a good price for a used one, okay? So I did my research and I was prepared, and of course this helped me a lot in the negotiation. You would find it very hard to negotiate if you don't have facts and figures in your head, okay? Walk away if you have to. Now, this of course is a last resort, but if the negotiation is not meeting your standards, if the other party is in no way offering you anything that you are interested in, as a last resort, you can walk away. Now, it is a last resort because you shouldn't, but don't be afraid to. If the person is being completely unreasonable, don't be afraid to walk away. Say no. For example, if he was not going to lower the price of the television that I was trying to buy, I'm not going to eventually just say, okay, fine, I'll pay you that full price for it. No, of course I'm not, because I know it's unfair. So, I will walk away. Luckily, I did not have to, guys, because I am good at negotiating, let's just say. I'm quite good, okay? So, guys, confident, patient, empathetic, trustworthy. Are they adjectives or nouns? What do we think? Yeah, exactly. Straight away in with the answers. Amr, Muhammad, Dahlia. They are, of course, adjectives. We know that. We've looked at these words before. Now, what about articulate? In the usage we have here, articulate what you want. Is it the verb or the adjective? Remember, we looked at it in lesson 2. Good work, everyone. Oh, I see 1 or 2 people writing in the wrong answer. It is the verb, guys. It is the verb. Articulate what you want. So the verb to articulate is to express yourself in a confident and clear manner. Remember, the adjective we pronounce differently. Articulate. Articulate. We put the stress in the second syllable. Okay? Exactly, Aziz. We stress the late in the verb. Articulate. So you all should have known that was the verb from the way I said it. And from the context of the sentence. But good work to everyone there. Now, some more tips on how you can negotiate, guys. Be positive and expect the best outcome. If you go into a negotiation not expecting to get what you want, then it's going to be very hard to convincingly negotiate, okay? So be positive and always expect that you will get the best outcome. I will get this television for a good price, okay? Understand the other party's weaknesses and limitations. So, weaknesses and limitations. Weaknesses are what they are bad at, and limitations are what they cannot do. So, for example, a weakness of the person I was buying the television off is that they need to get rid of these televisions. They do not have the space to keep all these old televisions. So he wants to sell it. He is asking for a price that is higher than he actually expects. So understand their weaknesses and limitations. Promise your client's needs will be met. So depending, yes, exactly, Hasna. The party means the other person. The other party you are negotiating with. So this could be a person, a company, it could be a country. So for example, countries often have negotiations with each other, or with the UN, for example. So promise your client's needs will be met. If you agree to something in a negotiation, then make sure you stick to it, guys, okay? Otherwise, you are not trustworthy, and it will damage your ability to negotiate in the future. So, Ingi, limitations are things you cannot do. So, for example, if the person in the store had bought that television for €500, bought it used for €500, then his limitation would have been €500. He could not have sold it for less than €500 because then he would have made a loss. So that would have been his limit. His lower limit would have been €500 at the very, very worst, and he would break even. Okay, so that's a limitation. It's as far as someone can go, something they cannot do anymore, their limits. Give and receive something for the business transaction. That goes without saying. That's the only way you can negotiate. There has to be something being given and something being received, whether it's a service, a product, money, an agreement, anything. Be professional and avoid personal issues. Never get personal. That's the same with everything we've looked at in this business context so far. We always keep personal issues away from professional issues, okay? Now, some new terminology there. Let's see what we have. To expect the best outcome is to believe you will achieve the best result. So to expect the best outcome, believe in it. You will achieve the best result. To achieve is to reach. A weakness is something you are not good at. A limitation is, in this context, like a weakness, okay? Something you're not good at or something you cannot do. To meet your client's needs is to do what your client wants. A business transaction is an activity or event that involves some sort of exchange or an interaction between a business and its customers or clients. Okay, so a business transaction. Personal issues are problems you have relating to your private life. And of course, we always keep them separate from anything in a professional context. Personal issues should never be brought into anything, not just negotiations. So guys, what do we think? Which of these is a goal of negotiating? Okay, so question time. Which of these is a goal of negotiating? To be in dispute, to come to an agreement, excuse me there, to never reach an agreement, or to meet other professionals. So which of these is a goal of negotiating? Yes, exactly. Amr, Aya, Samia, Petra, of course. It's to come to an agreement. That is the only one there that is a goal of negotiating. Now we've looked at negotiation and we're going to look at some helpful language. So like the last lesson, I'm going to give you lots of useful phrases and expressions for the various stages of the negotiation process. So don't worry if it seems like a lot to take in, because if you have your summary notes and your webinar slides from the toolkit, then you can always look back on them, and you can also re-watch this recording when it goes up in your members area tomorrow, okay? So let's look at some useful language for negotiating, and we will start at the beginning of the process. Could you please confirm that you've received the agenda for our meeting? Okay, so this is very similar to the vocabulary we looked at for meetings last week, because of course usually for a negotiation process there will be a meeting. Okay, does the agenda meet your needs? Do you agree with? Okay, so do you agree with this proposition? Do you agree with my analysis that this television is not worth €900? Would it be possible to? So I'm going to keep going back to this television example because it's a very simple example of negotiation. Would it be possible to throw in a HDMI cable and surround sound if I pay you the full amount of money? Okay. How about we? So, how about we meet in the middle, €750? Okay. How do you do? It's a pleasure to meet you. I look forward to meeting you. Okay, so remember, a lot of these negotiation processes can be done over the phone. Now, still at the beginning of the process, I believe we will need to discuss the price, for example. I propose, or I suggest, or of course if you are talking on behalf of a company, we propose or we suggest. Would you consider or could you consider? So, would you consider shaving off some of the price if I trade in my old television? Would you accept my old television and €400? Or could you accept? What is your opinion on? Do you suggest or are you suggesting that? So, are you suggesting that I pay the same price as a brand new television? What do you suggest? Okay, so if they keep turning down your offers, what do you suggest? It seems that, or it appears that. Can you tell me how? Does that mean? Okay, so all useful phrases for the beginning of the process. Now, what about the middle of the process, guys? So, we're out of the way of the introductions and we're in the middle. We're in the meat and bones. In my opinion, or in our opinion. So again, you could be talking on behalf of the company. I think we should, or we think we should. I'm confident that. So, I'm confident when you hear our proposal that we will come to an agreement. Considering this, I would. So, the television is slightly damaged. Considering this, I would like to offer you X amount of money. There are several options. So, my old television plus €400. €750 and you throw in a HDMI cable. Okay? So there are several options. It sounds like a possibility. It sounds like a possibility that you could lower the price. Or the exact same, it might be possible too. So they mean the same thing. One is using the noun possibility and one is using the adjective possible. That would depend on. If we agree to that, then we will save time and money. Now, when we're almost at the end of the process, we're going to look more at closing things, closing deals. In my experience, the best way to. In my experience, the best way to come to an agreement regarding this is to tell me exactly what you expect or exactly what you paid for the television. Could the problem be solved by? Can you offer any alternatives? Okay, so if they are proposing ideas that are not appealing to you, can you offer any alternatives? So, I cannot lower the price, but I can give you free delivery on the television. And what if I think, oh, well, I've got a big car, so free delivery does not help me too much. So, can you offer any alternatives? I understand how you feel. How important is that for you? So, the free HDMI cable, how important is that for you? And I could say, well, it's not that important, but if you're taking that, then I would like you to lower the price slightly. I agree with you regarding. How can we reach a compromise? Okay, so if I'm offering €600, Matthias says, what? How can you play Pro Evolution Soccer without a HDMI cable? Exactly, this is the negotiating process, Matthias. So, if I'm offering €600 and he is saying that he will only accept €700, how can we reach a compromise? Could we meet in the middle? €650. Okay, so how can we reach a compromise? Something we are both happy with. Do you agree with our position on? Or let me explain our position. If I were in your position, I would take this offer because you will not get any more money for it. Okay, so if I were in your position, I would take this offer. And finally, the end of the process, guys. So the end of the negotiation process. That seems reasonable. Okay, so if you are agreeing, that seems reasonable. Do you think we can, or do you think we could? So, do you think we could reach an agreement on €650? I hope you can see our point of view. And that is why we cannot pay this much for the television. I know exactly what you mean. We should come to a decision by this weekend. Okay? So give them a deadline. You'll be hearing from us by tomorrow, for example. Thank you for coming. Now guys, let's look at some of these verbs we looked at. To bargain. Okay, so to bargain is to try and get something for cheaper. To bargain. To close or make a deal. So, when we use the noun deal, we often use the phrasal verb close. So you might hear that a lot of the time in business, to close a deal. To make an agreement, to reach an agreement, or to come to an agreement. Okay, more phrasal verbs that we use with agreement. Or we could say to sign an agreement. Now let's look at some new terminology here. There was a lot of new terminology in those useful phrases. So to confirm is to make something certain. The agenda for the meeting, as we know, is the schedule for the meeting. It's a pleasure to means it's wonderful to, and I'm so happy to. So it's a pleasure to have you here in the office. It's wonderful to have you here in the office. To propose or to suggest is to recommend. To consider is to think about. So if you say, I will consider your offer, I will think about your offer. An opinion is your view on something or what you think. It seems that, or it appears that, just means it looks like. Considering this means when we think about this. That television new is €1,000. Considering this, I will not pay more than 600. So when we think about this, considering this. An option is a possibility. An alternative is another possibility or option. To solve a problem is to fix a problem. I agree with you regarding means I agree with you about one point. To reach a compromise is to do what somebody wants and they do what you want and you meet in the middle. So, nearly all negotiations will end with a compromise. You do what they want and they do something you want and you meet in the middle or you meet halfway. To be reasonable means to be fair. To close or make a deal is to finish the negotiations. To make an agreement, to reach an agreement, or to come to an agreement is to finish the negotiations. Okay, so lots of new terminology in there to do with negotiations, guys. And like I said, all of those can be found in your summary notes, or if you have the webinar slides from the toolkit also. And you can go over them again and again if you need to, okay? But for now, we're going to move away from negotiations and look at some grammar. And the part of grammar we're going to look at today is the conditionals, guys, okay? So, we looked at the first conditional in lesson 2. I can see lots of people are excited for some grammar. Brilliant, guys. Oh, except Mohammed. Mohammed is not excited about the grammar, neither is Myrna. Come on, guys. You love grammar. I know you do. Osama says he loves this part. So, we will get you to love grammar. People are afraid of grammar, but there's no need to be. Trust me, by the end of these 4 weeks, you will all love grammar just as much as I do. So, nada, Basant, come on, I don't want to see those sad faces, okay? So we looked at the first conditional in lesson 2. So let's just have a quick recap of the first conditional, so it will help us work with the other ones. When do we use the first conditional? Who can remember from the last lesson when we used the first conditional, guys? So tell me, get in those question boxes when we use the first conditional. No, Mohammed, it's not for facts. So it's not for facts. It is for a real situation which is very possible. Okay? Yeah, exactly, Ahmed. When we talk about something real. So an example sentence from the slides to do with the negotiations. If we agree to that, then we will save time and money. Okay? We use conditionals a lot in negotiations. So, if we agree to that, then we will save time and money. And of course, we know the structure is a conditional if plus the present simple. If we agree, then we've got our comma and will or can plus the infinitive of the verb. Then we will save time and money. Save being the infinitive of the verb. Now, another example. If I negotiate well, I will come to an agreement. Or I can come to an agreement, okay? And remember, guys, what happens if we start with the resultant clause, okay? So, instead of the conditional clause, what happens if we start with the resultant? Exactly, guys. We remove the comma. So, if we have the conditional in the middle, then we will remove the comma. And that sentence in itself was a conditional. So you can see how much we use conditionals in day-to-day English, not just business English, okay? So that's the first conditional for a real situation which is very possible. So going on from that, when do we think we use the second conditional? Well, if we use the first conditional for a real situation that is very possible, exactly, Mazin and Gabriella, brilliant. We use the second conditional for imaginary or unreal situations that are almost impossible. So they are not impossible, but they are unreal. Okay? So an example sentence from the slides. If I were in your position, I would start a new business. So look at that. If I were in your position, obviously it is imaginary. It is an unreal situation because you are not in the other person's position. But if I were in your position, I would start a new business. And let's look at the structure here for the second conditional. We have if and the past simple. Then we have our comma and would or could plus the infinitive of the verb. So, if I were in your position, if and the past simple, would plus the infinitive of the verb. I would start a new business, okay? Let's look at another example. If I set up an extremely unique company, I could become a millionaire. Okay? So again, an imaginary or unreal situation. If I set up an extremely unique company, I would become a millionaire. And guys, just like the first conditional and every conditional, we can swap the order around, in which case we just remove the comma. So that is the same with all conditionals. And something to note, I can see a lot of people are already writing in their question box about it. So Mohammed, I can see, has asked the question there. The verb to be is an exception in the second conditional, where we can use were instead of was. So look at it here. If I were in your position. Now, we know, of course, that the pronoun I, the subject I, should be followed by was. I was, you were. Okay? But in the second conditional, there is an exception. And we can say, if I were in your position. Now, you do not have to use it. You could say, if I was in your position. And that's no problem. So if you find it confusing, or you cannot remember, don't worry about it too much. So you can use were, but you can also use was. Okay, so if you forget, don't worry. It's just an exception we have here. And people tend to use it because it sounds more formal. Okay, so yeah, a lot of people are saying were sounds better. It does, it sounds more formal. Okay. So another example of the second conditional. If I drove at 200 kilometers an hour, I could make it to work in 20 minutes. So it is imaginary, unreal. If I drove at 200 kilometers an hour, I could make it to work in 20 minutes. Now guys, we're going to look at the third conditional. So we had the first for real situations that are possible. We had the second for imaginary or unreal situations, but not impossible. So what do we think about the third conditional? Okay, Gabriella is saying the unreal past. Okay, Katia is saying impossible. Marva is saying unreal in the past. Okay, so a lot of you have seen these before. We use the third conditional for an imaginary result of a completed past action, which is obviously impossible. Or like Raouf is saying, regret. Okay, we use the third conditional for regret a lot of the time. That would be the most common. So let's look at what we mean. Now the structure for the third conditional is if and the past perfect, then would have or could have and the past participle. Now, let's look at what we mean. So don't get confused by this. If I had generated more sales, I would have made more profit. So, it is in the past. If I had generated more sales, but I didn't. So it's impossible. It's a completed past action, an imaginary result of a completed past action. So if I had generated more sales, I would have made more profit. And notice the structure. And like we said, for regret. Yes, so Mariam is saying, is it for regret? That is what we would use it for most of the time. For example, if I had studied harder, I could have passed the exam. You regret not studying harder. So, if I had studied harder, I could have passed that exam. And again, don't forget that we can switch around the order, and it's the same. We just remove the comma, as with all of the other conditionals, okay? Yeah, exactly, Iman. If I had worked harder at school, I would have got better grades. So, brilliant. It's good to see that you all understand this. Now guys, what we're moving on to next is a bit different. And these are mixed conditionals. Okay? So, mixed conditionals can be a bit confusing for the students, but just remember that we don't always need to use them. Usually we can use the third conditional in a different way. But what the mixed conditionals are is just like they're called, where we mix the second and the third conditionals. So we have two types of mixed conditionals. One is the second mixed with the third, and then the other is the third mixed with the second. And we're going to look at examples now. So when do we use mixed conditionals? And very simply, we use them when the condition and the result refer to different times. Okay? So when the condition and the result, the two different clauses refer to different times. There are two types, but they are not frequently used. Okay? So don't worry too much about the mixed conditionals. But let's look at the first type. And the first type is a past condition with a present result. Okay? So mixing two times. Past condition, present result. And let's look at the structure. If plus the past perfect, and then would or could plus the infinitive. So you can see that the first part, the conditional clause, is the third conditional. And this part here, the result, is the second conditional. And let's look at an example. If I had generated more sales, I could make more profit. So it's a present result. Instead of like the third conditional, I could have made more profit, it's a present result. If I had generated more sales, I would make more profit. Another example, if I had worked harder at school, I would have a better job now. So if I had worked harder at school, I would have a better job now. Oh, Iman with the exact example that I said. So well done, Iman. And remember guys, you can generally use the third conditional instead of a mixed conditional form. So that's why I'm saying not to worry too much about these if you don't understand too well. Now, the second type of mixed conditional, well, what do we think? The first type was a past condition with a present result. So obviously the second type then is the other way around. A present or continuing condition with a past result. And the structure for this is if plus the past simple and then would have and the past participle. So for example, if I generated more sales, I would have made more profit. So a present or continuing condition. If I generated more sales, I would have made more profit. Another example, if we didn't trust him, we would have ended negotiations months ago. So, if we didn't trust him, it's a continuing condition, we would have ended negotiations months ago with a past result. Okay? Now, I know that can seem confusing for some, but just remember, the mixed conditionals aren't as important. If you know the first, the second, and the third, you will be okay. And we do also have what we call the zero conditional, guys. So I know a lot of you have already been writing that in the question box. And the zero conditional I left for the end because it's very easy. Okay? So some of those seem difficult, but I'm going to bring it back with the zero conditional now and make everyone feel better. So when do we use the zero conditional? Very simply, making a statement about the real world. So general truths or scientific facts. And this one is very easy. The structure is if and the present simple, comma, present simple. Okay? So this is the easiest one. Exactly, Ahmed. If you heat water, it boils. Okay? Exactly. And that is almost the same as my example here. If you heat ice, it melts. So, extremely good work there, Ahmed. You almost have the same example as me again. And remember, we can still switch around the conditional and the result. You get purple if you mix red and blue. And notice that we have removed the comma. So guys, it's called the zero conditional because there is no possibility. You are making a statement or saying a fact. So it's 100% true, and that's why we call it the zero conditional. There's no possibility. Okay? So guys, a lot of information there about the conditionals, and I just want to let you all know that for those of you who have the toolkit, I have uploaded a bonus video, so it's about 10 minutes long, where I go into more detail about the conditionals. So if you are still unsure, make sure to check out that bonus video in your toolkits, guys, where I go into more detail about the conditionals. So, which of these sentences is not a conditional construction? So, get ready to answer here, guys. Which of these is not a conditional construction? If I were a millionaire, I could build an empire. If I had made more profit last year, the company would have been more successful. I made profits last year and I was more successful than this year. If you work hard, you will be promoted. So which one is not a conditional, guys? Good, good, good. See, a lot of you were confused about the conditionals, but at the end of the day, they are very easy to recognize and deal with. So of course the answer is number 3. I made profits last year and I was more successful than this year. There is no conditional in there. We don't have if. And without if, it cannot be a conditional. Okay? So the answer is of course number 3. Now guys, I promised you we would look at an international case study. So, let's look at our case study on negotiation, guys. And this will be nice and easy after that tough grammar session on the conditionals, okay? So, the international case study we are going to look at is Apple's apology in China. Now, guys, just write into your question box there for me now if you have any idea about this case study. Have any of you heard about this? Or do we have any Chinese students with us today? Okay, so a lot of people are saying no, they have not heard about this. Okay, Ahmed says he has, Mustafa thinks he has. Okay, brilliant. So this is a case study on negotiation we are going to look at. And we do have some Chinese students as well, so that's great. So guys, let's look at it here. In China, in April 2013, Apple's CEO, Timothy Cook, apologized to their Chinese customers for the problem with their warranty policy and promised to resolve the issue. Okay? So, their CEO, Timothy Cook, apologized to the customers in China. Now remember, apologizing, that is a form of negotiation. According to negotiation research conducted by Professor William Maddox of INSEAD Graduate Business School, reactions to apologies in the US, Japan, and China were compared, and it was discovered that in countries such as China and Japan, an apology can be an extremely effective negotiation tactic. Okay? Now let's look at that in a bit more detail. So guys, INSEAD is a graduate business school with campuses in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. So Professor William Maddox of this business school conducted research into the reactions to apologies in different countries. Okay? And what they found was in countries like Japan, China, and Korea, they call these collectivist cultures, okay? And what that means is they emphasize family and work group goals above individual needs or desires. So these are called collectivist cultures. So, in cultures such as Japan, China, and Korea, using an apology as a negotiation tactic is extremely effective because it shows respect. Whereas they found that in countries such as the US, which we call individualist cultures, apologies do not work as well. And one of the reasons for this is they can make a person seem weak. You are admitting fault. So if you're apologizing, you're admitting fault. So that tactic would not have worked as well in the US. Okay? So you can see different negotiation tactics work well in different situations. Now, this apology was to mitigate conflict and resolve disputes, even though the apology was delivered by someone who was not responsible for the issue. So, this issue was not Timothy Cook's fault. But he is the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, so the apology looked well coming from him, okay? And that's what, even though it was not him who was responsible, it was very good to mitigate the conflict and resolve the dispute. Their findings showed that negotiators who personally deliver apologies could resolve conflicts and alleviate issues in a way that money cannot. Okay? So Ahmed is saying money is a good apology for most people. Well, look at that. It showed that negotiators who personally deliver apologies could resolve conflicts and alleviate issues in a way that money cannot. So they could have thrown money at the problem, but maybe they would have lost some customer base. Okay? So let's look at some new terminology here. Now, there was new terminology in there, and don't worry, a lot of people asking about mitigate. So, to apologize is to be sorry for something. And of course, check out those spellings, guys. As always, we've got the British spelling and the US spelling. A CEO is the Chief Executive Officer, so the person in charge of managing an organization. A warranty policy is a guarantee to protect you if the product is defective or faulty. So defective or faulty means they don't work correctly. To resolve the issue is to fix the problem. INSEAD, like I told you, is a graduate business school with campuses worldwide. To conduct research is to do research. According to research means the research claims. A negotiation tactic is a negotiation strategy to achieve objectives. In this case, it was an apology. Objectives are, of course, goals or aims. A strategy is a plan. To mitigate conflict means to reduce the issue. Okay? So mitigate the conflict is reduce the issue. Resolve disputes means to fix the problem. Findings are results. And negotiators are parties involved in the negotiation process. So look at that, it's what we call an agent noun. So usually when you have a noun ending in ER or OR, it is the person or object that carries out the action. So usually a person. So the negotiator is the person who negotiates. To alleviate issues means to resolve issues. And a defective product just means a faulty product. A product that is not working correctly or how it should. Now guys, a question just to finish us off. What did Timothy Cook do for Apple's Chinese customers to solve the problem with the warranty policy? Did he send them an email? Did he sing a song for them? Or did he publicly apologize to them? Or did he write to them? So which one was it? Yes, exactly. Good work, everyone there. Omar, Ingrid, Hussein, Danielle, Sharif. Unfortunately, he did not sing a song for them. I think that negotiation tactic would have worked for me. But he publicly apologized to them. So let's just hope that next time Apple do something wrong, Timothy Cook sings a song for them, because I think that would work just as well, in my opinion. That's the negotiation tactic I would use, okay? So guys, that brings us to the end of the lesson. So great work everyone sticking to me for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and you enjoyed learning about negotiation. So let's have a quick summary of what we learned. We learned about the art of negotiation. You gained confidence and improved your ability to negotiate. You learned how to prepare for meetings involving negotiations. We studied the conditional tenses, and don't forget, if you've purchased your toolkit, guys, there is a bonus video in there for you on the conditional tenses. You examined an international case study, of course, Timothy Cook. And you acquired more business English terminology and were exposed to my pronunciation. So we can now continue to build your English for business. Remember, guys, to attend live, because it is the best way to learn. You can ask questions and interact with me. And guys, remember, we're here to help, so contact us anytime, okay? Katia, the bonus video will be in your toolkit, okay? So in your members area, just click in the toolkit, and if you have purchased your toolkit, I will upload the bonus video after this lesson, okay? Now, for any of you who are members, guys, and would like some further learning on negotiation, I would recommend Lesson 7 in Career Advancement, Lesson 5 in your Fast Track Business Success, or Lesson 4 in Psychology of Sales. So if you would like some further learning on negotiation, okay? Now, what about the next lesson, Lesson 4? And this is where it starts to get more difficult, guys. Lesson 4 is Formal English for Business Writing. Now, my students always love this lesson because writing is one of the most difficult parts for non-native English speakers. So, you will learn formal English for business writing skills. You will explore the format of English for business writing. You will study stylistic conventions. You'll be exposed to connectors and linking devices. Don't worry if you don't know what these are. You'll find out in Lesson 4. You will learn how to structure formal letters and emails with samples included. And in the grammar, you will examine relative clauses. And all of this backed up with more business terminology and my brilliant pronunciation. So guys, remember, attend all the lessons live because it's the best way to learn. And of course, in lesson 6, we will be giving away that fantastic lifetime membership prize to one lucky student. If you want to watch this again, the recording will be available in your members area within 24 hours, and you can watch it as many times as you like, guys. So that brings us to the end of the lesson and to our bonus question and answers round. So, as always, I am going to get a quick glass of water because, as I told you, my voice is nearly gone today. Karim already saying, yeah, for me to get a glass of water. So, Marwa's saying I did a good job today. Thank you very much, Marwa. Thank you very much. So, guys, if you have any questions that me or the support team did not get to answer, just start getting those questions in now, and I will be back in little under a minute. People asking how they can rate the lesson. When you leave the webinar, you will be asked to rate the lesson, guys. So it should pop up automatically when you are leaving the webinar. So remember, 1 is the lowest and 5 is what you'll be clicking for the highest, okay? So I'll be back in 30 seconds, guys. I'm just going to get some water. Okay, everyone, do not panic. He is back and he is ready to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, so, the first question I've seen here is Mattia wants me to explain the word trustworthy a bit more and use it in a sentence. Okay, it's a very simple adjective to use, Mattia. Trustworthy, like we've said in previous lessons, trustworthy means you can be trusted. Okay? So, let's use it in an example. I gave my credit card. Wait, hold on. Sorry, confused myself. Okay. My friend wanted to use my credit card to purchase something online. I gave him my card and my card details because I know he is trustworthy. Okay? He can be trusted. So, I know he is a trustworthy person, so I gave him my card details. So it's a very simple adjective to use, Mattia, and it's a very good quality to have, to be trustworthy. So most companies will want, of course, their employees to be trustworthy. Okay, Amr, you don't need to write the question in so many times because then I won't be able to see anyone else's questions. The prize is a lifetime membership to the Shaw Academy, and that will be given in lesson 6 to one lucky student, okay? So one of you lucky students in lesson 6 will be winning a lifetime membership prize to the Shaw Academy. And what that means is you have unlimited access to every course we have at the Shaw Academy and ever will have in the future. Okay, and you will never have to pay for another course. So that is the lifetime membership. And yes, Osama, unfortunately, we will only be giving away one. Okay? Okay. Um, yes, Osama. You can watch all of the previous lessons anytime you like. Okay. So all of the previous lessons are in your members area, guys. So has everyone been able to access their members area? You log in and then you click on whichever course you want to go to. So if you are taking more than one course, you click in to your English for Business course, and then that will bring you to the English for Business members area where the recordings can be watched. Okay? Yes, Mohammed, there is a certificate for this course. So at the end of the course, when you complete the final assignment, you will gain your diploma. Okay. Excuse me. Ashrakat, if you missed the first 15 minutes of this lesson, don't worry. Like I said, you can find it in the members area. So we record every lesson and you can find them in your members area. So just log into the Shaw Academy and click in English for Business and you will find the recordings for all the previous lessons. Okay? Mariam says, Mr. Mark, I really like your accent. Thank you very much, Mariam. That's very nice. That's very nice. Okay, Zayad is saying, just to make sure, this is lesson 3. Yes, it is indeed. This is lesson 3. Hossam, my YouTube channel is Shaw Academy English for Business. So if you type in on YouTube Shaw Academy English for Business, you will find my YouTube channel and you can subscribe to it. Okay, so let's get some more questions. Let's see. Zamzam says she wants to thank me for my efforts. That's no problem at all. No problem whatsoever. Okay. Hitam says some people don't have patience for negotiation. So how can we deal with them? So that is where you would have to use different negotiation tactics, Hitam. For example, sorry, my voice, as you know, is not the best at the moment. So, for example, Hitam, you may need to take a different approach, like being more aggressive. So, if someone does not have patience for negotiation, you can try what we call a hard negotiation tactic. So, for example, you could go straight in and just say, look, I will not pay more than €300. That's it. I have no interest in negotiating. I will not pay more than €300. Okay? So if someone else doesn't have the patience for negotiation, then you can combat that by doing the exact same. Having no patience yourself. Going slightly more argumentative. Okay? So, that is one suggestion. Of course, it cannot always be that easy. Sometimes it can be very difficult. If someone has no interest in negotiating, remember, you can always walk away. That could be a situation where you walk away, okay? Yes, guys, assignment 1 is already in your members area. So I put the assignments in usually on a Thursday or Friday. So at the end of the week, the assignments go into your members area. So if you haven't done it already, assignment 1 is there and you should give it a go because it's great practice. It's not graded, it does not count towards your final grade, but it is great practice. So I would suggest everyone to try out assignment 1 in your members area. Okay, let's see. Marwa said it was too easy. Okay. Collude. Which condition mixed in every type of mixed condition? Collude, I don't understand your question completely. Could you try and reword it and then I will try and answer it for you. Okay? Hasna, the two pronunciations that you would most commonly hear are negotiation So with like a C or an S sound in the middle, negotiation. Or you would hear it with like an SH sound, negotiation. Okay? So I find that in the past, when I'm teaching non-native speakers the word, negotiation can be difficult for you to listen to and figure out exactly how to pronounce it. So that's why I would always stick with negotiation, because it's a much clearer pronunciation of it. It's a lot like the word pronunciation, negotiation. Okay, so just think of it like that. Okay, let's see. Hossam is asking, Hossam, so as I explained, the recordings of the lessons are in your members area. So if you log into the Shaw Academy website, you will find the lessons when you click on your English for Business course. Tamer gained 80% from the weekly assignment. Unfortunately, Tamer, there is no reward, but look, it lets you know that you have understood what we went through in week 1. And if I was you, I would try it again and see if you can get 100%, okay? Mar was saying that you got 100, so very good. Omar is asking, will I teach you idioms? Omar, I do teach idioms, and that is in lesson 7. So we do touch on a lot of idioms in lesson 7. Okay, Ashraf, which book do you recommend for studying grammar? Okay, well, depending on the level you'd like, Ashraf, I would always recommend a book called Headway. Okay, so it comes in all levels, from beginner all the way up to advanced, so, and everything in between. And it is a book called Headway, and the reason it is so good is because it also comes with an interactive CD-ROM that you can put into your computer or laptop and basically do lots and lots of practice, and it's interactive practice. So each unit in the book covers certain grammar topics, and then you can go and revise with this DVD-ROM, and it is a great way of revision. So that book is called Headway. Mattia is asking, is it online? To be honest, Mattia, I don't know. I do not know if it's online, but when I used to teach classes, that was my favorite book to use. Okay, Headway was by far my favorite book to use. And I know certainly when I taught in Saudi Arabia that all of my Saudi students loved it. Okay, so it was a great. Fatima, it's called Headway. It's called Headway. Okay. Okay, so I'll take a few more questions and then we'll finish, because like I said, my voice is starting to fail now. So let's see. Katia is asking, do I have any other suggestions for helpful websites rather than the BBC Learn English? Did you not like the BBC Learn English website, Katia? That is one of my favorite websites for learning English. There is other alternatives. So for example, like there is Oxford English and Cambridge English have websites that you could use, and there is also the British Council. So if you want to try out the British Council website, they have a lot of good resources that you could check out and see if you like them, Katia. And then if I don't know, you're asking about how many live lessons you have to attend. For what exactly? A lot of people cannot attend the lessons live, so they only watch the recordings, and that is perfectly okay. Some people cannot attend the live lessons. Okay, a lot of people asking, It is the British Council website. So if you just Google the British Council Learn English, it should come up. I can't think of the exact name of the website, and I won't be able to write it to all of you. But that is also a good website, okay? Let's see. So, what other questions? Yes, Abir, if you miss one live class, it is no problem whatsoever. Some people cannot attend any lessons live because of work or other things. That's why we have the recordings. So do not worry if you miss a live lesson, okay? It's not the end of the world. You can always catch up. Let's see. Okay, I'll take one or two more questions. Ashraf is asking, is there an advanced course of business after this course? We do have an advanced English for business course, Ashraf, and the next one will be starting in January. Okay, so I'll talk about that a lot more near the end of this course. So I don't want to talk about it too much now, but yes, there is an advanced course. Okay, yes, Saeed, if you want to win the lifetime membership prize, then you need to attend 80% of the lessons live. Okay, so in lesson 6, we will be giving away that lifetime membership prize, but only to a student who has attended 80% of the lessons live. So let's see, what else? I'm going to take one more question, guys, and that is it. Okay, lots of people just telling me tips to help my voice, like drinking lemon and drinking ginger. Okay, so yes, Anan, you could get the diploma without attending any live sessions. Okay, so as long as you complete the final assignment, you get your diploma. So in theory, you could attend no live lessons and you could still get your diploma. Saeed, it is 80% of the first 5 lessons, so that means you would have to attend 4 out of the first 5 lessons. And then of course in lesson 6, we'll be giving away that lifetime membership prize. The course certificate, Osman, is sent to you via email, okay? The certificate is emailed to you. Mattia is saying, I have to try Serbian rakia for my throat. I'm a little bit afraid. I don't know if that would help too much, but so but I'll give it some thought, Mattia. I'll give it some thought. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna leave it at that for tonight, guys, because as you can hear, I'm sure my voice is slowly depreciating. So thank you all so much for sticking with me. I've had an absolutely great lesson. I hope you all have enjoyed learning about negotiation. Like I said, there will be a bonus video on the conditional tenses in those toolkits if you have purchased them. So if you are confused about the conditional tenses, make sure to check that out. And guys, other than that, I can't wait to see you for lesson 4, where we look at formal English for business writing. So look after yourselves. I will try to look after myself and fix this voice of mine, and hopefully I will be better and more talkative for lesson 4, guys, okay? So thank you all so much for sticking with me, and I'll see you all for that fantastic lesson on formal English for business writing. So have a brilliant morning, afternoon, evening or night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all for lesson 4, guys. Take care now. Bye bye.